Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. I'm Kathy Danroach. I'm the Director of Sales for Oceania Cruises here in Vancouver. And today I'm speaking on behalf of a really great partner of mine, which is Oceania Cruises in Langley and Kamloops. And we wanted to bring to you a real chance to dream and to plan and to discover some of the places you're going to be setting sail to over the next couple of years. We wanted to talk to you today about Oceania because one of the things that is very near and dear to my heart are small ships. And I've been around the industry for 44 years and worked with a very few cruise lines that have been such an amazing, kind of asset to the business in the fact that they're small and they get into places that other ships can't get into. And so with Oceania, we started out in 2003 with 3 small little ships, all with 680 guests on them, 30,000 tons. It meant that 3 of our ships could get into any of the big ships you see sailing into Vancouver or, wherever you are in the world on the big ships. So it meant that we could kind of experience smaller marquee type ports, but not only that, really be able to offer incredible travel experiences. We curated many, many beautiful opportunities to take you all over the world with very port intensive, unique, adventurous type itineraries. Most guests of ours look and they say, well, gee, one thing I notice about Oceania is you don't have a lot of 7-day cruises. Well, we don't. I don't think personally you could experience Oceania in less than 12 days. But our real specialty comes in 10, 12, 14, 18, 30 days, 60 days around the world for 180-day cruises. So we really feel that we go into these exquisite places all over the world and bring you some pretty unique experiences while we're there. So we sit on 3 pillars. This is one of the things that I loved about Oceania from the very beginning. We set the scene for a lot of different cruise lines. In fact, we started a whole niche in the cruise industry between the premium and the luxury lines, and we called it our upper premium experience. And Oceania was the first in that, and we still lead 17 years later in that field. But one of the things that we did is we decided we weren't going to include as much as the 6-star lines. We didn't want to be all inclusive because we wanted to include things that were really important for travelers, but not everything. And then we wanted to include way more than the premium, our beautiful premium partners, the bigger ships that you see on a consistent level of just having something really special. So we kind of hit that kind of wedge between the luxury and the premium market, and we hit a real chord in 2003 when we started. But we said we wanted to have 3 things. Number 1, small ships that could take you into ports that other ships couldn't get into. Number 2, have some of the best destination experiences ever in your life, and we're still coveted for many of our itineraries. And number 3 was the fact that we had some of the best cuisine in the world. We called ourselves the cruise line for foodies, and that's how we tout ourselves, and we always will. When I talk about Oceania, I think part of the thing that we're looking at right now is that we're small. And so it means we're intimate. It means we offer a lot more attention to detail than anybody else. But what I truly love about it is that while I love large ships, I also love at my age to kind of think about being on a smaller ship, somewhere where I could walk in a bar and someone would say, oh, I know you're drinking a martini with a twist of lemon, or I know that you have your Americano with less water. And that's the beauty of the start of the luxury line. It's not about stuffiness or formality. It's always about the intimacy of how you are served and how our guests get to be known throughout their holiday. So when I look at this picture against the large ships, it isn't a slight to the large ships. I still love the big ships as well. But for a vacation now, what I want to do is I want to tuck away into some of these small, beautiful ports all over the world on a little ship. And I want to be able to walk off the ship without any waiting in line or anything like that. So I think there's a real difference when you come to a smaller ship, and it's really truly accounted for in the fact that we have a lot of attention to detail. We know who you are. So we have 4 small ships in our fleet and 2 larger ships. One of them are called the Regatta class. You've probably seen the Regatta come into Vancouver. For those of you in Kamloops, I know you might not have seen that, but I have to say these are small, beautiful ships. When I look at them and I think that they're 30,000 tons, they're absolutely glorious to walk around on. It takes you about 40 minutes and you know the ship inside and out. With 680 guests, it means that there's no lineups, there's no crowds. There's no formal attire. It's kind of country club casual, as we call it, on board the ship. And the ships are truly elegant. They're absolutely, every single corner of each one of our ships is just designed so beautifully. And the attention to detail on the hardware, the ship itself, is magnificent. So in fact, we have, as you might see coming up in these pictures, are incredible artworks on each one of our ships. When I came over to Oceania 12 years ago, I came over because of the Marina and the Riviera. They were being built. They were the same size as I was used to selling. 60,000 tons, which, mind you, is still considered incredibly intimate in the industry. But the fact is very contemporary, and they were all designed by Ralph Lauren. So this last year, we took all of our ships and we really uplifted them and re-inspired them to become these most beautiful, elegant ships. So all the ships are done except for our Nautica, our little ship sitting in Dubai, and she's scheduled for her refit in July of this year. She was paused because of COVID-19, back in March when we had to park the ship in Dubai. So when all of our ships are done, these are kind of the beautiful residential feelings that you see on them. And one of the things that was very different about Oceania from the beginning, we said we weren't going to be like any other cruise line. We were going to get away with 2 seatings. We were going to do away with that in dining. We were just going to have 4 open dining rooms that were beautiful. Now, some of them require reservation, but we decided not to charge for our dining. We decided not to have kids programs, but we love having kids on board the ship. We just don't have programs for them. We want every single guest, no matter how young or old you are, to be able to feel like they're in someone's home. And then, of course, with our art, we decided to do away with any of the art auctions that other lines do. And we said we were going to fill our ships, each one of them, with almost $5 to $7 million of original artwork. So everything you see from original Picassos to Cuban artists, this gentleman below, and the blown glass features and the Murray sculptures and everything on the ship, it's one of our tours that you can take, obviously complimentary, where you just borrow an audio box from the front desk and you walk around and you see and hear about all the history of how each painting was picked on board the ship. So our ships are intimate, they're beautifully designed, and they're small. It means that there's no lineups and crowds. It means that we said we were going to just have all of these things that were included really importantly that travelers really loved. So I'll tell you about as we go along, kind of in the cuisine as well, is when we decided to be the cruise line for foodies, we figured that people didn't necessarily want to pay to sit in any specialty restaurants. So we actually made all of our, dining complimentary. So it means that you can go into some of our most beautiful specialty restaurants and you'll see the likes of Jacques Pepin, who started our culinary kind of experience overall, and he still oversees all of our culinary experience at Oceania. And he was kind of a chef that you've known him. He was Julia Child's, he's cooked with Julia Child's. He was Charles de Gaulle's head state of, chef. He's worked for 3 other French heads, upstate, and been their personal chef. And so when I look at his experience and I look at how he looks the overall picture of Oceania when it comes to dining, it was about the choice, the variety, the incredible freshness of everything we do. It's all about fresh food being shared. It's about vegan choices. We have over 250 of vegan plant-based menus to look at. We have vegetarian, we have meat, we have everything. And if you have a special diet that you need to be on, as long as we know about it before and you talk to your Expedia Cruises person about it, then we can actually accommodate you. So we want you to have the best experience in dining afloat any other cruise ship. In fact, we even rival some of the finest restaurants in the world at Oceania. So again, not about gourmet or luxury, it's more about the beautiful variety of choice you have and the fact that it's open dining anywhere between 6 and 10 o'clock at night. So you don't have to, have a 1 sitting or a 2 sitting. We took away formal wear. So we said we don't want people to have to feel like they have to dress up, and people are changing as all our travel, does change. As we all know, this is one of the most resilient, wonderfully changing industries in the world. But the fact is that we want you to be relaxed. We want, because we have such immersive kind of destination-driven itineraries, we want you to be able to come in off the ship and be able to sit down for dinner whatever you need. We got away with charging for soft drinks. So we were complimentary from the beginning on our lattes and our London fogs and specialty coffees and teas or whatever you want. Room service was always included, free laundries included, internets included. So the things that are important to people that have traveled before, we said that's who we want to be. That's where we started this beautiful kind of niche part of the industry called the upper premium market. So everything we do when it comes to cuisine is incredible. And finally, when I look at the travel experiences, the third of our pillars, one of the three of our great pillars of Oceania Cruises is the fact that each one of our destinations is so curated to the point that people absolutely love the variety of cruises we offer as well. So Oceania sails all over the world with 6 small ships. We come in at peak times and we leave to go to the next destination. So when I look at this map and I think, gee, we kind of circumnavigate Australia, we go on the east coast and west coast of Africa, we go around South America, we come up through Canada, New England, we go up into Alaska, we come right over to Russia and down into Asia and down into Australia. We come into Greenland, that beautiful, big, large red blob at the top of your screen, some of the deepest fjords in the world, and over to Iceland and up to Svalbard in the North Cape. So we go all over the world. And I think the only place we really don't go is the Antarctic. So as I said, we range kind of between 7 and 180 days, which I think you're going to love. So at Oceania right now, obviously, we aren't sailing at this very moment. We've paused our operations due to COVID, and things will come back. We don't know quite when, but the good news is that we're all seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. We're starting to kind of get past the big part of our marathon here as an industry being paused. But the fact is that we are going to make sure that you're as safe as can be. And I'm going to talk about safety and flexibility near the end of my presentation. But what I want to talk to you about is the trends that we did as a company just recently. And we looked and said, where are the people kind of that are cruising? Where did they want to go to most of all when we are back in the water? And guess what? Mediterranean, Northern Europe, Baltics were the 2 top destinations that we have that we see a lot of bookings. Now, let me back up for 1 second. 2020 was already looking like an absolutely amazing year for both Expedia Cruises here, for Oceania Cruises, for everybody in the industry. And then, of course, COVID-19 hit and everybody paused their sailings. But I have to tell you that 60% of all of our cancellations moved to a different sailing into 21 and 22. What's cool about that is that those 2 years were already looking fantastic. And now you're seeing sailings that are kind of waitlisted because we're small. We sell out. We're not like large ships with 5,000 beds. We have 680 beds or 1,200 beds to sell. So those are the kinds of things that I look at and I go, wow, where are people wanting to go in already a good year? They still want to go back to the Mediterranean. They still want to go back to Northern Europe and the Baltic. For those of you who want to stay a little bit closer to home, the third top trend was the Caribbean, which we do a beautiful job of 10-day sailings right out of Miami. Asia was number 4. That means that you could do a round trip Japan, or maybe do a little bit of Southeast Asia with Cambodia and Vietnam. Maybe you wanted to do a longer voyage. The 2022 around the world cruise for us is sold out. And in January this next year, we'll be, introducing our 2023 around the world for 180 days. So kind of those cruises that were over 30 days, those were so appealing for so many of our clients. And I have to tell you, I had a campaign last year where I said, why go home? I was on one of our sailings around South America for 20 days, and probably 25 couples at the end of that cruise extended their stay to carry on and go over to Papeete. So it was interesting to see our guests and how their trends work themselves, is that, a lot of our sailings become longer sailings. They're built so they can be put as back-to-back sailings. And one thing I love about this team at Expedia here in Langley and Kamloops is they know exactly how to pair you to the right cruise, whether it's Oceania or somebody else. But one of the great things is they know Oceania inside and out. So what I wanted to do today was talk to you about the Mediterranean and the Baltic and Northern Europe, because this is where the trends are. And of course, right here, we're sitting in Santorini, in Greece. And I hope that you can dream a little bit with me as I walk you through some of the most beautiful highlighted cruises of this year. So when I look at this picture, I think back, wow, this is Tuscany at its best. This is kind of this gorgeous feeling of being in Europe again. And this is where I kind of want to go. But I have to say, what I'm going to start with is Europe, a little bit of the northern end, and we'll come all the way down south to the very bottom where it's Jerusalem and Jordan and the Holy Land. So get ready. This will take me about 10 minutes, but I'm going to show you some of the most beautiful itineraries. Reykjavik being one of the first. This is where we take our ships and we kind of move them from North America over to Europe to begin with. So what we're doing is this beautiful sailing that comes from New York all the way over to Iceland. So we start and we come all the way up through Halifax and St. John's, and we come into Greenland and then right over to Reykjavik. Now, one of the great things about Oceania is we include your air, as the team can tell you at Expedia Cruises. We include your taxes and we include your cruise. So these are always the actual Oceania package. And then as I move on and tell you about different itineraries, I'm going to tell you what we include on every single one of our cruises. So this is a 14-day cruise, and the beauty of this is you can extend it on either side, up to 3 weeks on either side, what we call our custom air program. So I love it because when you come to Reykjavik, which is in kind of this top beautiful demand of cruising these days, the one thing I always know about Iceland, it's kind of a planet unto itself. It's almost a remote moon-like place, but it's sitting on one of the biggest volcanic plumes in the world, and it's absolutely these beautiful heated pools, and everybody loves Iceland. So this is the kind of stuff you can see when you start from New York. You might just want to go to Iceland, to Reykjavik, and get off the ship and fly home. Or if you're a real adventurer, you could come all the way over to Europe, all the way around the British Isles and over back to New York. So it's a beautiful 42-day sailing. See what I'm telling you? Just about having the option to to carry on as you go. Now, if you look at the bottom of your screen here, you're going to see that not only do we include your air and taxes, but the fact is that there's 22 shore excursions included in this if you want to be a shore excursions kind of person. What we call O-Life Choice, it means Oceania Life Choice, the things that are important to those travelers of ours, we say we give you a choice. We don't want to be all inclusive, but we want to include things that are important to you. So we give you the option of whether you want a shore excursion on a varied amount of, shore excursions on depending on the length of the cruise, or would you like a beverage package? Now, beverage, we already include all the soft drinks and non-alcoholic beverages. What we talk about as a beverage package is wine and beer at lunch or dinner. I don't mean 2 different kinds of wine at lunch or dinner. I mean 17 different kinds of wine and 11 different kinds of beer and craft beer and the whole works that we offer, because we actually work with Wine Spectator. And so when you see about the wines on the ship, they're beautiful. For $20 more per person per day, everybody, you can upgrade that to a full-on liquor package. So you can wake up and have a martini if you want it in the morning. So you can have a liquor package included if you want. Or if you're not a shore excursions person or a person that wants to have drinks included, then you can take the option of having a shipboard credit. That's what I personally like to do, because then I can spend it however I want, whether it's a beautiful bottle of champagne or a beautiful shore excursion that I've really wanted to do. And the beauty of our excursions are the fact that there's so many to choose from. I'm going to talk to you about that. So when we come to the Baltics now, I love to kind of think that Northern Europe, the Baltics, the whole works are in such demand. But we have at Oceania, some of our coveted itineraries I was telling you about are one-off itineraries. We do it once in a year, and then we don't do it until the next year. So we're not a cruise line that has a whole lot of sailings in one area. We have some destinations around the world that we only come into once, and North Cape is one of them. We start here in Stockholm, Sweden, and we come all the way around back to London next August in 2021. Absolutely beautiful. 20 days, the sun does not go down, and this is what you see. These are the Norwegian fjords. Absolutely exquisite, and one of my favorite destinations in the world. So we do a beautiful kind of sailing all the way up to the North Cape into Murmansk and Arkangel and the areas that the explorers started there. Then we come back into Copenhagen. We have lots of different kinds of cruises that we start now as we kind of come into the Baltics. And those are always in kind of July, sometimes June, but July, August, September, some of the most beautiful times of the years to go into the Baltic. So we come right into Stockholm. So this, and sorry, into St. Petersburg. And this is the Hermitage. And this is what is cool about Oceania. Because we bring one of our small ships in, the Nautica sits right at the dock here, right in front of the Hermitage for 3 full days. So we take you, we get a chance to be able to go in after hours to some of the museums. We have a chance to fly you into Moscow and back, and all the kinds of things that you would come to expect if you loved Oceania like I do. The one wonderful thing about this is there's so many museums in St. Petersburg. I look at the Baltics and I think this is one of the most historic walking kind of traveling cruises you could do. And this is the great part of it. This is the Hermitage. It's one of the most famous buildings. This is where you see the Fabergé eggs and some of the beautiful carriages that the czars used. And one of the great things is they say if you stopped for 1 minute in front of every exhibit just in this museum, it would take you 3 years without actually stopping to or eating or doing anything to get to the very top of the museum. It would take you 3 years. Now that means that this is only some of the art you're seeing. We do it in 4 hours. So you see the very most important things in that museum. But the fact is, I don't know if you know this, but almost 2/3 of all the original art is not even in this building. It's stored all over Russia. They say if one of these rooms was ever sold, Russia would be the most kind of the most rich countries in the world. So you see some of the most beautiful treasures ever. You look here at the Church of Our Savior. St. Petersburg isn't just about museums, but you have to have a visa to go into there. So Expedia Cruises can help you with that, or we can give you one as well. We can sell you one. But the fact is, this is where you'll have to get off the ship with a shore excursion. I'm going to talk to you how those are going to work in our new safety protocols. But Peterhof Museum, gilded gold bridges and statues, everything you see. So we kind of stay in St. Petersburg for 3 days. Then we come into some of the most fabled cities in Europe. This is Tallinn, Estonia. This is a place that in phase 1 of our new safety protocols, you will have to take an escorted shore excursion off. You won't be able to get off the ship and walk and just look at the cafes or shops, but we'll have lots of options for you. And as we start to phase into 2022 and things like that, hopefully all those restrictions will be lifted. But it's one of the most beautiful fabled cities. This is where Rapunzel, Let Your Hair Down was born, and I just love it. Helsinki, an incredible, interesting destination unto itself. Lots of World War II history. Again, beautiful tours that we offer. We even come into, whether it's Hamburg or Vermunde, the ports that we use for coming into Berlin. This is Brandenburg Gates. It's the new Paris of Europe. It's absolutely an incredibly intriguing city of just Wiener schnitzels and beer and, the Brandenburg Concerto and everything like that. It is a city that everybody should see. It's so exciting. So we have lots of different things. We actually do the Baltic as well as in kind of a variety of things. We come even into places like Oslo, Norway. So you can look through all of these itineraries with the team at Expedia Cruises and choose which one is right for you. I think Norway is one of the most beautiful little countries in the world. The friendliest people, gorgeous to look at. And of course, Amsterdam, we come into the Netherlands, and here we are with full of canals and beautiful flowers and lots of shops and things like that. London, lots of cruises that sail in and out of London. We come to the British Isles as we start to move down off the Baltics. We come into the British Isles. We have a Celtic cruise that I love. This is one for 2022. This is part of our new launch that opens up on Wednesday this week, and it's from Dublin return. So it's 8 days. We also have in 2021, we have 2 cruises that are just Irish cruises and just beautiful. But I love this cruise. This is where my family's from, in Cork, Ireland. But I have to say that there's so much to see. One of them being a brand new port called Killybegs in Ireland. And this is where we take you off into maybe a discovery tour. This is one of our beautiful little go local tours that we call. These are 14, 16 people at the max, and we take you into Ballymullo, cookery in just outside of Cork, and you have 100 acres on this beautiful farm, and you learn how to cook with some of the most incredible ingredients right off the land. So it's kind of cool. You're in someone's home. So we out of Dublin, you know, this is kind of cool. This is an itinerary that people love because we start in Amsterdam. We take you into the British Isles, we take you into the Irish Isles, and then we come all the way down through France and around into Spain and into Portugal. This is one of my favorite cruises because it gives you a lot of choice in the destination you're going to. And one of the things I love about Europe and the Med is all the cities are so compact, and so it's easy to get to and from different countries. So this is the gates of Bordeaux. This is where we dock, right in front of the gates here. And in a usual world, in the old normal, we would just have shuttles running in and out of the city. You could go into chateaus for picnics and all that kind of stuff. Now we'll in the first phase one, we'll have to have escorted tours. So we will have shopping offers. We'll have green tours. We'll have beautiful wine tasting tours. We'll have food tours. We'll have all sorts of things for you to actually wellness tours, things that we will have for you that we'll be able to offer every one of our guests and make them feel so safe and so secure. So when it comes to Bordeaux or Cinque Terre in Italy, you've read all about it in the news that some of the big cities can't take these ships anymore. Cinque Terre is one of them, but we come in with one of our small ships. We come into Monte Carlo like we're someone's yacht. We come right around this beautiful part of the Mediterranean from Rome to Venice. It's a typical sailing of ours. And then you look at it and it's 15 days. Well, Canadians love this because this is one of my very favorite itineraries, everybody, because most Canadians want either France, Italy, or Greece. And so they never really ask for Spain. And Spain is one of the most beautiful, kind of less traveled by Canada destinations. And it's one of the most beautiful countries in all of Europe. So this is one of my favorite destinations because we start in London. And I would suggest that through your Expedia Cruises advisor, you can actually book a pre-extension first and kind of go into London, have a bit of time there. Coming into Saint Malo, where Jacques Cartier was born, and he was the dude that kind of discovered Newfoundland. And then we come into Bordeaux, France, and right around Spain, some of the most beautiful areas, Seville, and then coming into Portugal and going through to Gibraltar. It is a beautiful itinerary. The same kind of itinerary with the Med comes around in 2022 too. So I'm just showing you some highlights here. You can see by what I'm showing you how incredibly port intensive we truly are. And what I'd like to point out is that the overnights we have, the late night departures. So you see in Koper, Slovenia, that we come in at noon, but we leave at 11 p.m. Or into Dubrovnik, the city, the gated city, which is so incredible. Being able to go into someone's house for lunch or coming into just the walled city. We're in at 8 o'clock a.m. and we don't leave until 10 o'clock p.m. And same with Monte Carlo. It gives you a chance to go up into Ez, the city of Ez, and have a look around all of these beautiful, beautiful little ports. So when it comes to places like Bordeaux and the lavender fields and truffle hunting this is one of our coolest, shore excursions we have. Again, go local means that you're going with a local person and only 14 to 16 of you, and you go on a black truffle discovery tour. I can't tell you, we've done this for the last 2 years when we come into Provence in France, and our guests that come off this tour absolutely love it. I always thought that kind of pigs did the truffle hunting, but actually what's super interesting is now dogs are trained to do it. And when you look at the black truffles here, you go and hunt right in someone's property with them for the truffles, and then you come back and they make a beautiful lunch of, whether it's pasta with black truffle and everything that you do. And this is one of our rave review tours. This is something you're going to love. We take you into Firenze. We take you into all around the Mediterranean as far as Valletta in Malta. And I love this. This is one of our small ships, so it's an absolutely beautiful 12-day cruise. So you're going to see lots of choice. You can look on our website. You can walk through it with your consultant at Expedia Cruises, but all of a sudden you come into little cities where you kind of don't expect it, and that's Valencia. And you might see an itinerary with Valencia on it. Spain is, as I said before, is one of the most beautiful places on earth. Great cities, open markets, all that kind of stuff. Life will get back to the new normal, but it won't be quite as normal as it was before. Dubrovnik. This is the kind of cool thing about Oceania, everybody. You know, remember I was telling you that we include things that are important for travelers. Well, one of the things we include are shuttles in and out of each city. So when we come into a place like Venice, where we're docked almost an hour out of the city, we have our transportation in and out of St. Mark's Square. Same with Marseille, same with Dubrovnik, same with every city around the world. Almost 90% of the cities that we take you to, we have complimentary shuttles. Now, the cities that you need visas on, you can't get off the ship anyway without the visa and being escorted. But I love the fact that this is something we've thought of and we've included. Many of the bigger cruise lines charge you for that. That's not a slight to them. We're a little bit more expensive than them because we include all this stuff. So it's the value of Oceania that makes it so special. When it comes to places like Monte Carlo or Rome, or coming into just seeing the beautiful Rialto Bridge in Venezia, then I think you've got a lot of choice here. And one of the things I love about Oceania for 21 and 22, we are actually coming into the Black Sea and the Bosphorus Seas, going all the way back to Turkey. And this is kind of a cool cruise that's 20 full days all the way to Istanbul. So if you get a chance to have a look at that, that might be a discovery cruise that you want. In 2022, the Holy Land is going to be big for us. This is starting, if you can believe it, in Jerusalem for 3 full days. I love this itinerary. And then taking you into Cyprus and going into Ephesus and all the way back through to Venice and overnighting there. This is one of my favorite cruises in all my life. And I have to say, some of the things we do when it comes to Dubrovnik, or we come into Turkey, or we do wellness tours. And so if you're interested in going into these incredible olive groves with someone's private property, we do wellness tours there. You can do yoga between the olive trees. So these are the kinds of things that you're seeing with Oceania that are very unique to us as a cruise line. Athens, of course, a staple, you know, kind of this beautiful staple in all travel in the Mediterranean. You have to see it. And this is the Suez Canal. This is one of the greatest parts of doing the Holy Land. This is a sailing from Dubai, coming in reverse all the way to Rome. So up through Salalah and Muscat and Oman, and then up through Luxor and seeing the Valley of the Kings and Queens, and into Jordan and Jerusalem and Haifa and Ashdod. They're a long time in Israel, and then into Greece and up the Amalfi coastline. And this is, of course, Jordan. This is where we get off in Aqaba for Petra, and one of the greatest sites in the world, again, next to Luxor, and having the, you know, kind of light and sound shows there that we offer. So I think you're going to love it. Very briefly, in 2022, our books, all of the Expedia Cruise people now know about our itineraries. You can look at them online, but we launch it. Our books open on Wednesday morning at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. So if you're interested in looking at one of these cruises, book now while you get the chance to have the actual stateroom you want and the itinerary you want. We are offering 110 itineraries, but with 70-night overnight stays. We have 11 new ports of call, whether it's Norway, whether it's Finland, into Germany, into Ireland and Denmark. So have a look at that. And of course, our extended journeys are kind of land packages, pre and post any cruise, if you don't want to do it on your own. So in 2022, we'll spend almost 6 months in the Mediterranean in Europe with 5 of our ships. We will be going through the Baltics, as I mentioned, and of course, then we come into New England as well, and all the way come over to our side of the world into Alaska. We've got a variety of sailings that you can do. And as I said, with all the different shore excursions, things that we offer, these are kind of the tours. We've got over 3,000 tours and excursions for you. And so I know you're going to absolutely love Oceania. Now, let me just talk about quickly the inspiration and the flexibility and the safety behind all of this, because I can show you beautiful itineraries, but if I can't show you kind of how flexible we are as a cruise line and what we're doing to keep you safe, that's one of the great things about Oceania that I absolutely love. So let's talk about safety. Now we all know that, cruising was kind of safe to begin with. Actually, 0.001% of COVID was affected on 30 million people sailing on ships last year. So I have to say, unfortunately, 3,600 out of the 30 million were ill, but 67 people died across all of the cruise lines during COVID, which means when you look at all of the ships in the world and all of the number of guests, 30 million people sailing last year, cruising is exceptionally safe. Do you know that there's only 3 entities that have to report to the CDC, what we call the Center for Disease Control? And what that is, hospitals, long-term care, and cruise ships. Cruise ships have been reporting safety and viruses and illnesses for over 40 years in this business, longer than I've been in the industry. And I have to say, it's the one reason that we kind of are easy to target as an industry. Part of that, you don't hear about hotels and resorts and BC ferries and escalators and elevators and airlines and all that kind of stuff, because they're very hard to track and they don't have to report to such a stringent rule. Cruise ships do. And so one of the things we've always taken into effect is we will not let anybody sail until we know we were 150% safe. Now, one of the great things about us, you can look on our website, and this is a fluid kind of screening of things that we're going to be implementing. We were already safe to begin with at Oceania and as an industry, as I mentioned, but the fact is that we're going to implement another huge amount of safety measures before you step on board a ship. So one of the things that you can look at is your Expedia Cruises person can help you walk through this. We're changing it almost every week. We're waiting, the CDC has just lifted the no sail ruling, so it means that we can get on our way and start to look at how we're going to operate in a new safe situation. But some of the things that you'll see are the fact that I would imagine, and I don't know this 100% for sure, there won't be any buffets in the first phase, and there will be phases of the safety. Phase 1, I would imagine you will all have to take an escorted shore excursion. Phase 1 will also include masks being worn. Phase 1 will also include not ever being in a buffet again. There will be buffets, but we will serve you. They will never be able to touch someone's spoon. That happened. So just like in 9/11 that we had to get used to security lineups at the airports, and it's kept us safe, and now it's a no-brainer. We all just walk through an airport and we're willing to just wait a little bit longer to get through the lines. The fact is that on ships, it's going to be safer than you've ever been in your life. And they say, as the whole overall travel industry, that cruising will be one of the most safe methods to take your vacation. Well, not only are we looking at our safety, we're also looking at being flexible with our traveler's assurance program. That means that if you're paid in full and you can cancel for any reason up to 15 days prior to departure, you can either have a refund or you get a future cruise credit. And if our price changes and you're already booked on it, doesn't matter what happens, we will actually protect you. So we're very flexible, and this is where Expedia Cruises absolutely loves to work with us as well, because we are a cruise line that tries to just help you have the best vacation ever. So when it comes to value, and I promise I'm just starting to finish up now, it means that we've taken over all of our sailings. We have dropped our prices between 10 and 30%. And that means that we took that back in March. We had to do something to inspire people to travel and to still look forward to traveling, remember what they loved about traveling. We decided that we would drop our price and become even more value driven than before. So what we did is with Expedia Cruises, we said we're going to give this beautiful company in Langley and Kamloops this opportunity to have almost 60 to 80 sailings of ours that had prepaid gratuities throughout 21 and 2022. So that's a huge value right there. On an average 12-day cruise, it's around $384 US. But in the month of November, if you book anything, no matter if it's a 22 cruise or if it's into 2021, we will offer an additional $200 shipboard credit per stateroom for you. So have a look and talk to your Expedia Cruises person. When I mentioned before that Olife Choice is part of every sailing, you can take your air and cruise and taxes that we always offer, and you can take the air out of that if you want to. You can actually take your Olife Choice out of that and that go very bare bones. I personally think that it's inclusive by choice. So either way, one of you, you're always going to be interested in one of these three things. And I think it's fantastic. So with our new launch, what we're also including are free airport transfers. So when you take our air from now on, we will, starting in 2022, we will have our airport transfers included. We'll also have an opportunity for you as of Wednesday to, kind of qualify for the 149 premium economy air upgrade that you can talk about. That's US dollars. So in Canadian, it's $250. But these are the kinds of things that we offer here at Oceania, and you don't ever pay for them. So we have our internet, our specialty restaurants, our shuttles from port to city centers, our fitness classes, our laundry, our bottled water. By the way, we were the first cruise line to go green. We got rid of 3 million plastic bottles of water, and we changed over to a system called Vero Water that all the luxury hotels in Europe use. They're all bottled waters. You get your own bottle. And then, so in addition to all of these things included, of course, we had the Olife Choice as well, where you had the excursions or a beverage package or shipboard credit. So in summary here, I think one of the most important things I could offer you is that don't be afraid to travel, to plan. You're talking at least, probably into kind of mid 2021 all the way through 2022 are some of the most beautiful, beautiful itineraries, whether it's exotic itineraries to Africa or Egypt or whatever, but also into the Med and the Baltics. And so whether it's been an Alaska cruise or whether it's Portofino or whether it's Ashdod, in Israel, just take a look at whatever you need. Talk to your Expedia Cruises consultant, whatever we can do to help you try and book that cruise, because the pent-up demand is there. People will always travel. The pendulum will always swing back. You have everything to be very hopeful for. And I want to thank you for being with us today, and choose to cruise and choose an Oceania cruise. I hope you come and join our family of this beautiful, small, intimate cruise line called Oceania. So thank you very, very much, everybody. I really appreciate you being with us today.